At this point in your internet career, you're probably well accustomed to the story of the life of El Mayo. But what can you say about his children? The fact is that El Mayo is one of the most notorious criminals from Mexico and also the head of the Sinaloa cartel. So that begs the question, what do you think his children are like? Well, that's exactly what we're going to cover in today's video. I'll be talking about the El Mayo children with some background checks, so stay tuned. El Mayo, whose full name is Ismael Zambada Garcia, has been the cartel leader and has been arrested several times. Little do people know that he's also a family man, despite how notorious he is. He married Rosario Niebla Cardoza and has 8 known children, although not all 8 children were from his wife. Unlike other people of his caliber, El Mayo has a very large family, and most of them are very involved in their father's business, which the cartel, if you can call that a business. Anyways, some of them have been arrested as a result of trading in their father's footsteps, so you might be wondering, who is this child? Well, if we go by the Spanish naming custom, then El Mayo has 4 grown daughters and a son who is by his wife, Rosario. The daughters are named Maria Teresa, Midiam Patricia, Mónica del Rosario, and Modesta, while the son is Vicente Zambada Niebla. So funny how all of his 5 children from his wife are fully involved in cartel operations. So before I go into details of the life of these children, remember I said he has 8 children, which means that the other 3 are not from his wife, but they bear his surname. And these 3 children, whose name are Serafin Zambada Ortiz, Ismael Zambada Imperial, and Ismael Zambada Sicairos. They're his sons from 3 different mothers. So, to the burning question of what kind of life these 8 children lived. Well, I mean, if not all of them, I'll be telling you about some of them at least. So, let's take a peek at the life of Vicente Zambada Niebla. Just like El Mayo, his son Vicente is also a very known, powerful drug lord in Mexico, where he was born on March 24th of 1975. If the father is often called El Mayo, then you should know that Vicente will also have a nickname. He's often called by the name El Vicentillo. Despite being a notorious criminal, I find it a little funny how he used to have a partying lifestyle. And for this, I'd say he's kinda dumb, cause it's that lifestyle that caused him to be recorded while discussing drug shipments, an explosive purchase, and how he was gonna retaliate against Mexican law enforcement, which led to his arrest in 2009. The time he was arrested in 2009, which was after he became the head of security and operations for the Sinaloa cartel, although there was a time when he was indicted in the United States, but a year after he was arrested in 2009, he actually extradited to Chicago to face his charges, and probably be sentenced to life in prison. But I would say he's actually pretty smart as per the fact that he doesn't want to spend his entire life in prison. He pled guilty to all charges secretly in 2013, and from then he cooperated with the authorities, giving them a lot of information about rival cartels. He even betrayed his cartel by providing authorities with information concerning it. His cooperation with authorities brought him a reward in 2019, where his sentence was reduced to 15 years. In no time, I wouldn't be surprised if he's released thanks to his term served, and when it's done, he would likely obtain the witness protection because he's created more than enough enemies for himself. So even though he won't spend his life in prison, he will spend it in danger. Let's see the life of Serafin Zambada Ortiz. From what I said earlier, you should probably guess that Serafin was born from a different mother. He had a rough life, like Vicente. Even though his mother wanted a better life for him, Serafin was born in San Diego, United States, but he was brought up among the most powerful drug traffickers. So if you're wondering how El Mayo met Serafin's mother, well, they knew themselves from childhood. Unfortunately, they met again in Mexicali. And it was there that she fell for him, even though he was 15 years older than her. So back to Serafin. From the time he was born, he was welcomed into a rather violent world. At the age of 2, a car bomb was detonated outside of his birthday party. When he was 9, he narrowly escaped death with his mother from a Mazatlan hotel room, which some gunmen had invaded when they left, but he lost relatives from that incident. Not just that, his father's rival killed all of the mother's relatives, leaving them homeless and moving from one home to another in order to just be safe. This continued for years until he was able to return to Sinaloa, where he had no choice but to involve himself in a drug trade, and took a wife from a family involved in trafficking. So let's take a hop skip ahead to 2014, where he pleaded guilty to the charges brought against him, of which he conspired to import more than 100 kilograms of cocaine and more than 1,000 kilograms of marijuana to the US, and agreed to forfeit $250,000 in drug profits. See, what I found strange is how he soberly expressed remorse. Let me say how he caught the court with his words. According to him, "In this drug business, one hurts a lot of people, and I, Your Honor, regret having been the cause of so much damage to people with the drug business. I've learned here in this place that drugs can destroy many lives. I lived in a golden cage with luxuries that were useless," which is what he said of his childhood. In court, he apologized for his crime and said he wanted to move on and raise his children in the best way that he could. So yeah, a lot of criminals have sob stories, so if you were the judge, would you have been lenient? Well, the judge actually considered this as genuine remorse and gave him a light term of 5.5 years in prison in March 2018. Next up is the life of Ismael Zambada Sicairos, who is often known as Mayito Flaco, and Ismael Zambada Imperial, who is known as Mayito Gordo. Recently, Ismael Zambada Imperial, aka Mayito Gordo, on April 30th, 2021, pleaded guilty to drug trafficking charges following his extradition to the Southern District of California in December of 2019. He also agreed to forfeit $5 million in drug trafficking proceeds. He was arrested in 2014 thanks to his constant posting on social media on how he lavished his wealth. Zambada Imperial pleaded guilty to all charges in a superseding indictment returned by a federal grand jury in San Diego on July 25, 2014. This indictment also charges his father, El Mayo, as well as another son of El Mayo, Ismael Zambada Sicairos, aka Mayito Flaco. He also admitted to having always direct acts of violence in order to promote the Sinaloa cartel's narcotics and trafficking activities. By April 29, 2022, at 2 p.m., a sentencing hearing is being scheduled before Judge Sabra, whereas not much is spoken about the daughters of El Mayo, but among his daughters, Maria Teresa is said to be like her father. In July 2010, Maria Teresa Zambada Niebla, along with their sisters Midiam Patricia and Modesta, was accused by the U.S. government of laundering money from the sale of drugs to the CDS through various companies based in Sinaloa, such as Jamaro Construcciones, Establo Puerto Rico, Multiservicios Hevis, and Arte y Diseño de Culiacan, and in JYM car transports. Maria Teresa Zambada is recognized as one of the most beautiful women in Mexican organized crime, and till now, her guilt has not been proven in any single crime. Among the 4 daughters of El Mayo, 3 of the 4 have higher education. Midiam Patricia and Mónica del Rosario have a degree in business administration from the University of Sinaloa, while Modesta graduated as a lawyer from Culiacan University Study Center. However, Maria Teresa is known for her vocation as an educator, at the head of children's rooms, even though she has no higher education. And this will be all for today's video. I thank you for joining me.